YouTube while I'm doing this like I've been doing. I wasn't able to do that yesterday and post my sermon on and my message for the day onto YouTube yesterday. I apologize for that, but my SD card was full, and so it wouldn't let me transfer over. But we've got it resolved now, so there's no confusion. I'm going to start with Matthew 5:10 through 12, which says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom in heaven." And I brought this. I wanted to talk about this verse. I actually got it from Steve Furtick and a sermon that he did that I watched over the weekend. And my purpose in this is to explain to you how believers are supposed to behave. Believers don't do things deceitfully. They don't hack into people's phones, and they don't commit defamation against others. Real believers don't accuse others of wanting something that they have, like homes or cars or spouses even, or even the physical appearance of somebody's body. Real believers trust in God and knowing that that's of the flesh, and you can't take any of that with you. Unfortunately, this is a regular occurrence for me, and I can't tell you how many times people have targeted me just because they see I'm a believer and they see the attention and the love that I get for it. And this is something that we need to talk about, because you've got a lot of non-believers falsely accusing and committing defamation against others running around out here. In my particular case, we've found a situation where I've got a lot of people that were trying to falsely accuse me when other people were doing the wrong. And in my case, with regards to my daughter, everybody's pointing the finger at Betty St. Sen, and that's righteously so. She's not being persecuted. She's being held accountable. It's not the same thing. She did things in the course of my situation where she falsely accused my adopted dad after she set it up for her to steal my some of my documents and then turn around and commit fraud against both of us. So we're all on the same page here. Real believers don't peek into other people's windows and report to their physical therapist in the case like is done with me. That's somebody that's not focusing on themselves, and they're trying purposely to harm you. If you have somebody that's doing stuff like that, that's peeking in your windows and trying to see whether or not you did your dishes or mopped your floor, how about they start asking you if you need help instead? That's what a real believer does. We don't bash people because they're not able or they haven't done their dishes today. We ask them if they want help with their dishes instead. That's the kind of person I am. Your behavior determines whether you're a believer or not. And people that commit these types of persecution, and that's what it is. I had people that were looking in my windows and then going to my physical therapist and telling them whether or not I did my dishes. That is the sign of somebody that has a lack of self-control. How do you know I didn't leave my house a mess on purpose? Because I happen to do things like that just so people can get caught when they're doing those types of things. Remember, if you have to go to the degree of looking into somebody's windows and pointing fingers at them rather than taking responsibility for what you're doing, you need some help. Focusing on the imperfections of others is not the sign of a believer. Believers say, "Here, take my hand, let me help." They do not stand there and point fingers at you and try to compare you to them, saying, "I do my dishes and I mop my floor every day, and that girl doesn't do nothing. She's lazy and has ADHD." That is not a believer. That's not the behavior of a believer, which is something that people need to understand. That's somebody who is persecuting somebody that is less than able to do for themselves. See, I'm on disability. I have medical problems that make it so I'm supposed to have somebody come into my house and help me. But that's not available to me right now. So rather than pitch in and have the backs of your believer, I've got people that are pointing fingers and hollering, she's not good enough. Don't let her advance forward or take credit for her work. Not stopping to think that they stole that from me to begin with. That was never yours, and you were never going to be able to have it. I've also got people who were laughing and thinking it was very funny, including Betty St. Sen and Erica, who were laughing and joking, thinking it was funny. I was going to die without my family. That is persecution. That's not a believer. So when you see people that are doing these types of things, you need to call them out. That's what the word tells us to do. It says it over and over again. There's so many verses about it that it's not even relevant for me to even bring them up. Because if you don't study the word, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about, which is part of the problem here. I've got all these people who are claiming to know everything about God, but haven't cracked the book open. And when they open their mouth, it's totally obvious to those of us who are well studied on the word. So pay attention to the details because they do matter. And if you don't know, stop pointing the finger. Open the book and read it for yourself. Otherwise, you're persecuting innocent people like me and wasting our money. That part. And I say wasting our money because I've got all these people running around trying to persecute real tax-paying Americans because they don't want to go home to their own country. They don't want to behave here. And I'm going to tell you, you can't have your cake and eat it too in this situation. I fully support ICE and I understand the laws and regulations and the Constitution. ICE has a right to arrest you, even if you're a citizen, until they can determine whether or not you are a citizen. And so you have people that make error, right? Unfortunately, the computer errors are occurring way more than the human ones nowadays. This is after we were told and promised that the computer was way more accurate, when it's really not. The computer is determined by the person who types in the program, not the accuracy of the computer itself. So remember that when you're hollering, I trust the computer over you. Well, to be honest with you, after what I've seen, I don't. So pay attention when you're looking at things that don't look right. If it doesn't fit, then 10 to 1, it probably must not go there. And it's like saying, if there's smoke, there's probably fire too. In my case, I've got people who were telling me these guys are the ones that are at fault. I have also been told that law enforcement agrees, and so do some of these non-rogue judges who were going by the Constitution when they say that my daughter was kidnapped and my property was wrongfully removed. So for those of you who were following me, go to the beginning, because the beginning was the day I was born. I was born disabled. You can't get around that. And for the purpose of giving people information, yes, I was declared a veteran who was injured in the line of duty. It's my understanding that I was given a Purple Heart for that, because the injuries that I sustained are terminal. The cystic fibrosis is something that I was born with, and I'll never be able to get around that. However, the working pulmonary fibrosis, I was not born with that. And I'm being told by the doctors that's permanent. It'll never go away. By the grace of God, I found treatments that help me instead of pushing me closer to my deathbed. I paid attention when the doctor said, you got to change or you're going to die. There are people that are mad about that. That's not my problem. If you're mad because I'm still alive, then that makes you having the Jezebel spirit, and you need to do some self-reflection. That's real talk. As far as my husband goes, that's my husband. Social Security told me if I lied about it, I would go to jail. I'm not going to jail so someone else could lay up in a bed that's supposed to be mine. That's a sin. You've defiled my marital bed that's what you're trying to do. So remember that when you face my husband, because he doesn't belong to you and he's not allowed to marry someone else. I'm not Mormon, and according to him, neither is he. You hear that? There goes my scanner. See, I'm family of law enforcement. My mother, who was murdered in 2005, was a law enforcement officer in Oakland, California. She was also a Michigan Department of Corrections volunteer for many years, right along with me. I was, being a vet, have been targeted just like she was. People tried to kill me because of my indigenous blood. And the fact that I knew that Pokagon Band of Potawatomi was frauding our people and the U.S. government. So that's something we need to address face to face. The people that are involved in this should resign because what they did to me was so racist. They took my kid and their excuse was that somebody else called me the N-word at my birthday party. It doesn't get more racist than that. That sounds more like jealousy and racism mixed and combined together. And that turned into a lethal combination that almost got me killed over and over again after that situation occurred because people didn't want to take responsibility. And that's what criminals do. So keep that in mind as you walk your day, knowing that God will hold you up and he will protect you as long as you have faith and you believe. I'm a believer. I've seen too much and God has shown me I don't have any excuses. I'm not allowed to go around saying that I'm hurt because I know better. I've read and studied the word. So for those of you who haven't, take my hand. I'm a real minister. Let me help you because that's what believers do with God's love. God bless America. Have a blessed day. Back the badge and support the Purple Gang. And I want to tell all my law enforcement officers, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. It's not just the law enforcement officers. It's the transit workers, the people who bag your groceries every day, the tellers at the banks and at the grocery stores. All these people. They're taxpayers too. Remember that. And if I forgot you, because, there's so much more like lawyers and teachers, doctors, and all these other people, maintenance guys, managers, people that help us every day. How about you stop being nasty and start appreciating the people that pay our taxes? Helping us out when we've paid taxes is the better thing to do instead of sitting on your butts hollering, I want food stamps for free because I'm lazy and have ADHD. That's not the answer. That's going to get you thrown on the street, especially if you're not disabled. When they put me on the street, I was on oxygen. We're not the same. Have a blessed day. God bless America and the badge. And support the Purple Gang.